Okay, hi folks, it's Andrew the Fulgor Milano guy, and today's exercise is going to be converting the gas pro range over from natural gas, which is the default from the factory, over to liquid propane. And so I'm going to go through all the steps. This unit isn't actually connected to gas and I don't have a propane source, but I'm going to go through the full exercise of all the steps that are involved in order to properly convert it over to LP. So this is what comes with the range, and so this is your main regulator. That has to be converted over as well. Inside the manual it will tell us what orifices go where. Here's two orifices. These will be for the bake and the broil burners inside the oven, and this kit will contain all of the various orifices for the burners, and you can see there's 12 altogether, 6 burners on the range. Each burner requires 2 orifices, different ones, and you'll see that as we go through the steps. So let's get started. We'll start just with the regulator to show what's involved with that. And of course, on the regulator, this regulates the pressure to the range from your incoming source, and this is the flow of the gas. So this should be going into the range this way. This way it's connected, and you must use also the included brass adapter and this fiber washer or bushing. But first, we do need to convert this over. This comes from the factory, configured for natural gas, and what we'll do is, according to the instructions, we'll just hop ahead here to show the illustration, because all the steps are included. So, pressure regulator conversion, the natural gas position of the inside spacer versus the propane position. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take off this cap, and you can use various tools to do this, but basically you just want to loosen it off, and then you'll see this is the part that this instructions are talking about here, and this is the natural gas position. So what we want to do is unscrew it. It's a plastic piece, flip it around, and put it back in to the cap. Just got to catch the thread here. And because propane is a higher pressure gas, this actually, when you turn this around, puts more tension or more pressure on the spring in here in order to get the right flow of gas into the range overall for all of the burners. So then we'll just give that a little tighten, and it's on nice and tight. So this is going to go and connect to the range, and the specifications for torquing the manifold connector onto this brass nut or brass union are actually in here as well. Here's our acceptable gas pressures for natural gas and for LP gas. Gas line recommendations are 5-foot maximum length on the flex line, a 5/8 outside diameter, so that means a 1/2 inch inside diameter, in order to get the appropriate amount of gas that could potentially be used by all of the burners going at the same time. So this unit could possibly have 6 burners at 18,000 BTU and an oven burner at 21,000 BTU. So you need about 130,000 BTUs potentially to feed this unit. So today we are going to be doing the 36 inch. We're not doing natural gas, we're doing LP. So it's going to tell me that the simmer is a 50 and the main flame, so the outer ring, is a 105. And then the broil is a 120 and the bake is a 140. And so that all relates to the size of the hole on these injectors or orifices. So this orifice is stamped with a 105, so that's the main flame. This is also a 105, and this is obviously, you can see, a much smaller hole, so that's going to be the simmer flame, and that one should be stamped 50. There it is on the side, 50. Okay, so back to the main regulator. Where that's going to be installed is at the bottom of the range, and they cover this all up with tape so no foam or packaging materials get inside. But this is where the fiber washer meets up, so I'm gonna place that in there. And basically all of this gets tightened together. You don't want to over tighten this because you're using the fiber washer. That makes the seal. It's not a flared fitting, so you're not crushing it down as hard as you can. And then you can see we've got our arrow pointing in the direction of gas flow, and this is where we would connect our flex line that we would pick up from the local hardware store to connect it. So again, this is just for demonstration. I'm not actually torquing everything in. So take that back out. So we'll do the surface burners first. And in order to do those, we'll take the grates off. We'll need this driver with a Phillips bit. Remove the caps. And then we will have to remove all the gas spreaders. So the inner simmer injectors or orifices are quite easy to see. It's also easy to miss. If you've converted other units before that only had single flame burners, you may only change out one orifice. But on these units, we also have an outer flame that we have a second injector or orifice for. So we'll remove all the covers. And you want to be careful because you can see that it's open to the inside of the range, and at least the upper part. So if we drop one of these screws down in there, we'll have to take the whole top off in order to get down there if we don't have a magnet that can reach. So yeah, just be careful. So now what we'll need is a 7mm wrench to remove all of these. So once you've broken the tightness to it, you can basically unscrew it with your fingers. So again, this one, be careful, and you're going to want to save these just in case if the range ever gets sold or you want to change it back to natural gas. You want to make sure you still have all of these injectors or orifices. And as you can see, it's a tight space in here. And really, this is the only tool that I've seen you're able to get in there and get that horizontally oriented orifice out. So here's our simmer and our outer flame for the natural gas. As you can see, they're quite a bit larger than the propane ones. We'll grab those two for comparison. So in comparison, here's the propane ones, because it's a higher pressure gas. There you can see the difference in orifice sizes. So this is going to be for our outer flame, this one here, down there, and then this one's going to be for our inner simmer flame. So let's go about getting all of these installed. I just want to get them all organized here. Okay, great. So we're going to use a small one and a larger one, being careful not to mix them up with the pre-existing or the natural gas ones. So all the little ones, or the 50, let's just confirm that this has got 50 stamped on it. Yep, right there. This is our center simmer propane orifice. So finger tighten all of these into place first. So 15 to 20 pounds of torque is not that much. You don't need to reef these into place. Just give them a nice little, you can feel once you get some resistance, just give it a little tighten. You know, keeping in mind that maybe one day I'm going to try and remove these again. Okay, so that's all of the orifices put in. Now we'll put the covers back on into position. Let's get the covers on first, that way we don't accidentally drop the screws down inside the hole. Okay, now we'll get all of the flame spreaders back in place. put these back in a safe place. So what you're also expected to do is fill out the date and that you've converted it to LP gas. Kit number would be right here, 4A09050, filled there, and then you can just print your name or your company name, and then that gets affixed to the back in this area. And this way any future technicians can easily take a look and see if the unit's been converted or not, what gas it's running. So next we're going to do the inside burners. And so if we look that up, just as a reminder, we've got a 120 on the upper burner and a 140 on the lower big burner. So let's make sure we have the right ones here. So that one's my 140, and this is the 120. Okay. So removal of the door is recommended, so I might as well demonstrate that while we're here. Lift up these two tabs, raise it, and then put your fingers underneath the handle and kind of push it forward and lift, and the door should separate. Set it aside, protect your floor. Then we'll remove the grates. And the bottom grate is full telescopic and it's locked into place, so we do have to lift it up at the front, push it back, tip it up at the back, and then pull it forward to remove. So we can do the big burner first, and we'll remove the 4 screws on the bottom. And lift up the plate. So our injector is going to be down inside here, so we have to remove this in order to get access to it. That's the sparker, and that's the thermocouple flame detector. So we do have a single screw to remove over here. And then we can slide the burner out. Set that aside. And if we look inside, there's our injector. So we're probably better off using a 7mm socket here to get at that one. So 140 in the bottom. That's this one. So here I'm using a shallower socket so that it can keep the thread exposed. back in place. I'm going to make sure that you get the thermocouple back into position. So it's got a little groove on it, just like the spark igniter. And you push it in until it snaps into that spring clip. Okay, now we can put the floor back on. We're going to do the upper burner. There's our injector down in there. So these are same tool. We'll put the racks back in. into position. It should come down flat. This isn't flat, so I'm going to have to push it in a little bit more on the bottom. Still not flat. There we go. Now it goes down flat. Can put the securing tabs back into place. Doors closed. Last step. So the caps back on. Make sure they are sitting flat and flush. Now, the last thing we have to do is for propane. For every single one of these injectors that we put in, we have to adjust the low flame screw. So inside there is a screw down the middle for adjusting the low flame of the outer, this burner, and then every one of these bezels has to come off in order to gain access to the screw down the side here, and that is for the simmer flame. So when you convert to propane, you have to close all of the low flame screws fully. Using a small flat blade screwdriver, we'll go down the center of each one, and you're going to close. Again, you don't have to torque it closed, but snug it closed. Every one of these screws down the center. And then we're going to do it down the side. So you can see that square hole there. And we'll do the same thing. Grab that screw, close it all the way. And this is actually the simmer burner. So if you don't adjust these down, what you'll have is just way too much gas flow coming out at low flame setting on the propane. And then conversely, when you're switching, if you're switching back to natural gas, what you would do is you'd have to actually, have your unit hooked up to gas, and you would adjust each of these low flame screws to get the proper flame level. And there is I do have another video on how to adjust the low flame setting here on our YouTube channel. Let's see if I can try and integrate a link to it. So those ones didn't need as much tightening. These ones did for the outer flame. And then finally, let's see if I can catch the angle in here and see the screw, but it's on an angle. The low flame screw, and then this is only for the bake burner. Maybe we'll take the bezel off so we can see better. The broil burner has no adjustment. Broil burner has no adjustment because it's always on full. But the bake burner, because it's an adjustable temperature, modulates, and so we do need to have low flame setting or adjustment. Try to get a good light in there. So there, you might be able to see the screw right down there. Hopefully get an angle of that. So I'll get my driver on it, and we're going to tighten that all the way closed. So all of our low flame screws are adjusted, and we're going to get our bezels put back on. So you got a locator pin for each hole. Kind of helps you, and then you basically want to try and center these as best you can so that you don't have your knobs rubbing on the bezel anywhere. You put them back in. Looks like it might be a bit low. Yeah, it's kind of rubbing, so you can see where the shaft is relative to the bezel. Let's let it kind of drop down a bit. That's better, that's what you want, nice and easy. Easy peasy. So, last thing we'll do is put the grates on.